Hello and welcome to your favorite show that features the brightest minds in Nigeria's creative industry. This is the Camera Lounge Season 2, brought to you proudly by CAMERAjOINT, Nigeria's #1 camera store. I'm Kayode Alayode, your host. Photographer, one-time national Scrabble champion, tech enthusiast, and archer. Now, I'm talking about someone who has a huge body of work, and when you look at his work, you'd always find an element of art. In fact, this has endeared him to so many global brands, and he's worked here in Nigeria with them and also internationally. I'm talking about Emmanuel Oyeleke. Welcome him with me to the Camera Lounge Season 2.
Hi, Kayode.
Emmanuel, you're welcome.
Very well.
Wow, finally we get to do this.
Finally.
Wow. Good to have you on the show.
Same here. I'm so happy to have you around, actually.
Yes, so Emmanuel Oyeleke, where are you from? Who are you?
Yes, so my name is Oyeleke Emmanuel Sheun. A lot of people, before I started photography, would typically know me as Sheun. But when I started photography, I had to I was looking for, I couldn't say Oyeleke Sheun photography. So Emmanuel Oyeleke photography sounded a lot smoother.
EOP.
Yes, exactly. So that was when Emmanuel stuck. I'm from Ibadan, Oyo State, born to a family of 4. I have 3 siblings. I'm the eldest of 3 siblings.
They must be proud of you.
Absolutely, and I'm so proud of them too. Everyone is doing great in their own way. We come from a very modest background. My father, for the longest time, is a lecturer, a lecturer's hat. So he's a sculptor also, a painter. My mother studied catering and hotel management, so for the most earliest recollection, she was always cooking and baking and making stuff.
So you grew up eating delicacies?
Absolutely, and I mean, even till today, sometimes I tell people like I don't eat cakes, or I don't, because I had too much cakes when I was growing up. So good. So I only eat hot cake.
Correct.
Fresh from the oven.
Correct.
We grew up, for the earliest part of my years, we grew up in Ilesha, because my mom is from Ilesha, Osun State. And then eventually I moved to Ibadan after my secondary school. I finished from University Education Center. They had a branch in Lagos, and then branches in Ilesha and I think Ife at some point. And then I went on to the Polytechnic Ibadan, studied computer science.
I see. Alma mater as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. I finished from there my ND in 2004, 2005. Went on to direct entry, Leeds City University, studied computer and information science in Ibadan. Computer and information science. And thereafter, I came for my NYSC in Lagos, and that was it. I started photography after my NYSC.
All right, so you're a very, very multi-talented individual.
I would say vast, probably. People could say these things are talents, but I think they're just things I applied myself to and picked up along the line, because I wasn't born with the ability to code or write computer programs. I wasn't born with the ability to take pictures also. So I would say in some way there are things I applied myself to, experiences that I experienced and I absorbed, rather than just say being talented. Yeah.
So you're telling me now that you live intentionally?
For the most part, I would say yes. I live intentionally, although sometimes I tend to say the most amazing parts of my life are unprecedented. So there are things I didn't premeditate that just happens. but for the most part, I would say yes, I live intentionally. One thing also is creating the right atmosphere for happenstance to happen. That's just what it is. So, for instance, if you typically don't go to gym, you can't magically keep fit unless maybe you start running. So, for instance, if there's let's talk about an actor. If he wasn't going to gym before, he didn't do any form of physical exercises or martial arts, and suddenly there's a role in a TV commercial or a film that he has to act and he has to do martial arts. If he had been going to gym and taking classes in maybe self-defense, then all these things come into play and gives him advantage when he lands the role. But if he didn't do all that before, then he has to now prepare himself for the role, whereas he could have just effortlessly fit into the role if he was doing all those before. So that's why I said, you know what, preparation meets opportunity. That's what I.
So I like this angle to living right that you just gave now. So can you share with us some of those big opportunities that you've had in your career, and what you were doing, before those opportunities came?
I would rather not give like specific instances, but I would give a typical instance where there are things that you can just engage in. So as a photographer, I would have rather not talked from a photographer's point of view because I've had other experiences, but I will talk from a photographer's point of view. As a photographer, I think a lot of things I used to say before was, we didn't used to be this busy. And in that downtime, what you do in your downtime will determine how the next 6 months or 1 year would be. That's what I used to tell myself. So rather than when there's work is not coming, I'm just sitting looking for work or sulking. Back in the days, or even now, what I would do is I do my best work. I do my personal work when there's no client work coming, because that's what prepares me for client work. That's what clients will see and say, oh, we want to hire this guy. It's the work that I did in my downtime that they will see and say, oh, he could do this. Let's hire him for this. So that's what I always just try to tell people when it seems like work is not coming and you're not doing anything. Rather than sit and sulk, or rather than wait for the next big buck to come, why don't you just take incremental steps in building your portfolio, probably taking a class or two, and just make things happen. Right now, I'm taking 2 online courses. I'm taking a course in digital marketing. I'm taking a course in systems in design, or I'm taking a course in design thinking. Do you understand? So it's not as if I'm looking to leave photography now, but all those things that I'm doing, eventually when the opportunity comes and say, oh, an international brand says, oh, we're looking for a photographer that is vast in design thinking or vast in digital marketing, I can say, oh yes, that's me.
I'm here.
Rather than say, oh, okay, I wish I had known this, or I wish I'd taken this course. So that's why I always just tell people, just develop yourself incrementally every single opportunity you get.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Oyeleke, photographer, artist, and Canon ambassador from Lagos, Nigeria. With this camera, it's just a matter of just pointing the camera and squeezing the shutter. And I'm so positive that I will get the action I'm looking for. It has happened so many times while testing this out.
All right, good. Just shoot you here and then. I have already gotten a couple of really nice shots of them, really.
Any visitor to your website would find that one of the first paragraphs there is, I love to find simple solutions to complex problems.
Yeah.
Where did that thinking come from?
It's not a coincidence now that I said I'm studying design thinking, which is actually one of the bases of design thinking is finding solutions to problems. This door is not opening, how do we make it open? Steerings used to be not round before, but it didn't make sense because obviously you want to be able to turn round. That's how round steerings came into being. For me, for the longest time, I remember when I was a child, I used to say, I want to be an aeronautic engineer. I loved taking apart electronics. I loved building things. I used to remember electric motor, how I discovered that when you reverse the current, the direction of the motors can change. That's how I was able to, like, okay, so if I design a car, a toy car with, what's it called? With an electric motor. All I need to do in order for it to reverse is to make sure I reverse the current. I was able to do that when I was younger. I used to take apart TVs. Even when I was in secondary school, we got like punished at some point because the proprietor of the school said, we were forming a cult group, and all we were doing was we were experimenting. That was all we were doing. So we called ourselves Assault Brothers. It was 4 of us. So, bring my TV is sport. Okay, go and bring the transformer in your TV. My own radio is sport. Okay, bring the rotor in the radio that rolls the cassette tape. So we'll bring it to school. Some guy could sketch. Eventually, we were able to build a TV. The guy would sketch like comics and cartoons, and we used the rotor to keep moving the, what's it called, from flipping the slides. And we had light from the back. And the guy said, we wanted to blow up the school. We were building a bomb.
Wow.
So that was my thinking in those days. I just loved to know why things work and what I can apply the things that work to in order to solve other problems. That was just me.
So I see that you already had or still have a very strong work ethic and a very deep one at that. You think through stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
So how then did you discover your style?
Sometimes I tell myself that I've still not discovered fully. I still tell myself. But discovering my style in photography came as a result of observing the things I love. So, and also, I always say, I don't have a specific go-to method to my photography. The way I do things today is not the way I do it tomorrow. Last year I was photographing with maybe mostly strobes. This year I told myself, or late last year I told myself, you know what? I want to photograph with more continuous light than strobes. I started doing that. A camera brand or a camera equipment brand sent equipment worth thousands of dollars and say, we want you to photograph with this continuous light. Aperture sent a lot of equipment to me. They sent equipment to me without reaching out to them. And it was just like, okay. I thought I would do this. And miraculously, someone said, we want to fund your dreams of doing this without even reaching out to them. It was just something I said to myself that, you know what, I'm not done photographing with strobes, but I want to experience more or experiment more photographing with continuous light. And that happened. So for me, I would say a lot of times I don't have a go-to set or a go-to technique to my photography, but what has helped me develop my style or understand my style is the fact that I observe the things I love. I love colors. I love telling stories. I love calmness. I love music. I love culture. I love nature. I love serenity. Do you understand? All these things, put them together. That's how I found my style.
All right, so you were already a very busy, active young man before you came into photography.
Yes.
And then, boom, photography came into the picture. Tell us that story. How did you find your way into photography?
Well, I studied computer science, and while I was in Lagos doing my NYSC. I was doing my NYSC in Lagos, by the way, because I never lived in Lagos before.
Oh, before NYSC?
Before NYSC, I'd never lived in Lagos before. So I came to Lagos for NYSC. I was working at a company, Parish Data Service. I was a computer programmer. It was a good job, like it was a decent job. In 2011, I was earning 150K as a U-Copper. So, as a U-Copper. So in 2011, so it was a decent job. Like
that's a lot of money.
It was good, yeah. I was a programmer, but I tend to get very, very frustrated with routine. Although as a programmer, I wrote routines.
Yeah, so you wrote programs, but you don't like to live a programmed life.
Exactly my point.
Yeah.
So I was discussing with a friend. Her name is Biodu Odeyemi. We were NYSC together. She was in Lagos, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know what I would do after NYSC." She was like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Well, I really want to learn how to take pictures, not because I wanted to pick up a career in photography, but just because whenever I travel, because I play Scrabble." Whenever I travel the world, I want to be able to take better pictures of different countries whenever I travel.
Oh, I see.
And that was how she was not like, okay, also Google it, search for workshops or something you can attend. And right there and then, I searched for, photography workshop in Lagos. And it was the last day for registration for a particular workshop that I registered for. The Future Enterprise Support Scheme, TFES, by Red Nigeria.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I registered for it immediately and started attending classes. 2 weeks after, I was top 4 in class.
Wow.
Top 4, they said, we're supposed to set up businesses for top 4, give us funding. We went to channels for, what's it called? We were interviewed on channels.
Wow.
I think it was Robin Minds at that point, at
Okay,
that time,
Robin Minds,
and everything. Yeah. So it was like, so I can attain this kind of fame because
when I've not even started.
Correct. And I can actually take pictures and live a free life. I can be creative and express myself in my pictures. And that was how I was just like, 2 weeks after I quit my job, I said photography. So I had 1 month in between learning photography and starting a photography career.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
when I quit my job, I told my boss, like, are you mad?
Your boss?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the problem? Like, do you want us to increase? Oh yeah, we're actually working on accommodation for you in Lekki. Do you want us to? Do you want more money? I'm like, no, I don't want more money.
Now, did you consult with your parents?
So after I made my decision, I called my parents. I'm like, it's photography I want to start now. And they're like, so whatever it is that you do it well. So we trust you to do this one well. That was what they said.
Wow.
Yeah. So it served as an encouragement to me because it was like, I've studied computer science as in Polytechnic. I went on, studied computer science and computer and information science in the university. And here am I, maybe like 7 years after saying I want to start, I want to become photographer.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, whatever you do it well. So
both your parents?
Trust you. Yes, both of them. So I was just like, this is the necessary encouragement I needed, and I just forged on.
Okay, and you wouldn't like to fail them anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
all right.
I'm sure it's not a decision that they've regretted so far.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, this is that point where we'll take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to ask Emmanuel Oyeleke. He once said that he doesn't repeat a style ever. We'll find out why right after the break. Welcome back to the Camera Lounge Season 2, and on this episode I've been speaking with Emmanuel Oyeleke, the creative director of EOP Studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. And we are sitting right here in one of his studios. We'll get back to that part of his career much later in the interview. All right, so you once said that you don't repeat styles, you know, in your work. Yeah, some people say, man, that's arrogant, man. Like, is it a myth? How do you do that, and why did you make that a policy?
Well, it's not a policy. It's just the same way I mean, I feel like you have one life to live. Live them. Someone used to say that. For me, I get bored very easily. So if I have to do the same thing over and over again, and I have to do exactly the same, then I get bored from it. What I would rather do is, for me, I always say to people in creativity, especially even in life, to get a result of 5, I can do 5 plus, I can do 4 plus 1, I can do 2 plus 3, I can do 6 minus 1, I can do 10 minus 5. What is the result? It's still 5. The result is what I'm after. The process of how I get the result, it's easy. I can maneuver the process. And that's the same way, that's the same principle I attach, or I approach my work with. While as a programmer, you could do while is a loop. So I love programming so much. Like, you could do while, you can do for this until this, for that. So it's the same approach. I try as much as possible to approach my work with. It's the same approach I approach life with. I try as much as possible not to get bored with whatever it is that I'm doing. And that's what happens if I employ a particular method or formula that, oh, whenever I want to achieve your portrait, my light has to be here, this light has to be there. No, I don't do that. Or I have to use this particular light. Sometimes I intentionally throw myself in the deep that, okay, let's limit my options. Let me see if I would achieve the same result. It's just for me not to get bored. It's not anything, it's not a policy.
Yeah, and you're not trying to show off or anything
absolutely
like that.
Not. Absolutely not.
So, a number of times since we started this interview, I see that you have referred to your coding experience like twice or more. But this is almost like counterintuitive in the sense that when we were in secondary school, if you had the kind of intellectual talent or gifting that you had, you would be sent to the sciences. And here you are on the other side of the pendulum.
Yeah.
Now, how much impact would you say that your coding and computer science experience has had on your art or your photography?
What I would say to that is I feel like all experiences are connected. So even if I was a cobbler before, I'll take lessons from that to apply it to what I do presently now. And that's just the way I am. I feel like everything is connected. The experiences I had as a child, I feel like they're even connected to how my creativity is. The experiences I had when I was playing chess, almost competitively, are connected to the experiences I have now. The experiences I had when I was playing Scrabble very competitively are closely related to some of the experiences I have in dealing with maybe clients or fellow creatives, or even the experiences that I experience when I go for competitions and I'm shooting archery. So I just feel like everything is linked and you can learn from everything. So what I do is I take lessons and I apply them to different things. So it's not unusual for me to say, oh, the lessons I learned when I was doing programming, I try as much as possible to apply them when I'm doing photography. Because I feel like we just need to make inferences. The fact that we learned mathematics in secondary school doesn't mean that we will solve mathematics problems in real life. But the only reason why I think we learned mathematics is to be able to apply the methods of solving the problems to real life problems.
So you're big on application.
Absolutely. I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
All right, so let's move into the business of photography. Yeah. So it's obvious that you're not just a photographer who has applied himself in the art and in the design of things, but you've also built a business. Talk about Emmanuel Oyeleke Photography, Zen Studios, Zen Backdrops. You didn't see those things when you came into photography, but you have built them. It means that you also have learned them.
Absolutely.
So how did you
learn?
How did you learn?
I would say my journey into the business side of photography is just getting started because I am just learning.
So we never see anything.
I never see anything. And the reason I say that is before I used to be a stickler for the arts. Like, oh, I have to be a purist, I have to be an artist, I have to do the things. And that is not sustainable, especially in a climate like Nigeria, because the art is not yet, the artist is not yet as appreciated for his art as in other climes. I would say I started learning that lesson in 2020.
So how did it happen?
And I think that was just the beginning of my
2020, like
yes,
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yes. That's when I started photography business.
You know, that just hits me like 2020. This is just like 2 years ago.
So that's when I started.
So what happened?
The world happened. COVID happened.
Okay.
We couldn't work. So eventually it didn't really occur to me that, oh, this is it. But in terms of application and inference, I felt like, well, this is it. We need to build alternative sources of income. All through COVID, I was blessed. I was blessed because for some certain reason, I just had clients that say, oh, we're in lockdown now, but you know what? I want to shoot when lockdown is over. I want to shoot in September, so I'm going to be paying you 200K every month. Or I'm going to be paying you this amount of money every month. I just had clients that said that.
Wow.
I swear. That was just it. So I just had clients, although I wasn't working, money was just coming in. And I was just living life. And that was how I feel like we were able to survive. Because of, at least, we've built a little bit of pedigree. People could say, oh, we'll leave money in your hand. When COVID is over, or if it is over, we'll come and use it.
You built trust.
Exactly. And that was how we survived. But I felt like it could have gone either ways. And even still, all these other businesses started as a hobby. Oh, okay, we could do this. There's so much free time now. We could start painting backdrops. We started painting, painted 1, painted 2 with my friend from Ghana came, Shafiq, and we painted together. It looked good. Okay, if it looks this good, then why not just go all the way? Then we just started
investing.
Yes, investing in it. And just like that, it became a thing. With Zen Studios, this idea has been there since. I've had the idea for too long. Like, it was even too long. Like, someone was telling me yesterday that I can't believe that you didn't act on it all these years. But the problem I had was I was thinking too big. My idea for Zen Studios is far greater than what we have.
Is there anything like thinking too big?
Well, thinking too big in the sense that to start off, I needed to start small because of the finances involved. To get a studio space that I was thinking about, I would probably spend on, if I'm looking to get anywhere around here, if I'm looking to rent, I probably will be spending 25 million per year on rent.
Wow, that's big.
On that kind of space. And that was the cheapest I found when I was looking.
So the current Zen Studios?
So the current Zen Studios is just a miniature of my dream.
Wow.
It's just a miniature of where I want it to be. the small version of it. It was just like a starter pack
Wow.
of where I wanted to be. So it now occurred to me again that, oh, you know what, I can't keep thinking to start big. Why not just start with the little I can? Start small. And that was what we did with Zen. I mean, I wanted to let myself free of that trap of, oh, I want it big. I want very big space. I want
just do it, like Nike would
just
say.
do it is what I learned.
It's the lesson that
is the lesson I learned from 2020, 2021, and which is what I'm trying to apply to every single thing I do now. For Zen backdrops, we have products that we designed and we produced and we've never put out. Why? Because I just felt like it wasn't good enough.
Wow.
That we mass produced, and I was just like, nah, I want it to be better. But the lesson for me that I'm learning is also, if Apple waited to create the iPhone 13 or iPhone 14, they will never be where they are today.
We'll just be eating
They
raw
started
apples.
with iPhone 5, 6, 7. So we can start small, and make incremental changes.
Good.
That's
good.
That's what I've learned from 2020, 2021, and that's when I really started the business of photography.
How did your journey working with brands begin?
I would say, well, my first major brand that I worked with was GT Bank.
First major.
Yes.
Who is major again? Nice. Just kidding.
And the way that came about was very funny. Yeah, it was very funny. I just kept doing my stuff. I kept doing my thing. And I got a mail one day saying, oh, we want creatives or photographers that can work in a particular brief with little or no supervision, blah, 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 blah. When I got the mail, I was excited, like, oh, it's from GT Bank. But then the excitement was very short-lived, because as soon as I checked, and I saw CC, maybe like 20 other photographers. Oh, I was like, so I saw some names that I knew already. This was far back, maybe 2013, 2014.
So it was meant to be a collaborative project?
It was meant to be a broadcast message to photographers,
Oh,
that
okay.
they are looking for photographers.
Okay, so you were disappointed because it was not sent directly to
me.
only you. Okay,
Yes, because I just felt like, oh, who am I? I'm just starting. There are these other photographers that I saw in their address, and I knew them. There are people I looked up to.
Wow.
I was just like, I beg, I'm not going to do it. Then something just came back to me. I was like, why not just try? Then I just gave it a try. I replied them and said, oh, this is, send us the brief. What they wanted was someone to work for free, essentially, but not to work for free, to start to get almost like they're testing people to see what they will
More like
produce.
a pre-qualification exercise.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I was just like, oh, well, I'll do what I do. I gathered the team. It was for SME Market Hub. I'm not sure. I think I still have the picture. We went onto the beach. I had like 5 or 6 models. Paid. I mean, I didn't pay them. For me, it was collaborative at that point. Got like set designer, took like a whole couch and set onto the beach to shoot. I was disappointed because sometimes the model came late, blah, 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 blah. Everything was just wrong on the day. The modifiers I went to the beach with, the wind with the beach was too strong, everything like this. Obviously, I was learning from experience. It was my first major. Anyways, I was disappointed with the shoot because I think we started shooting around maybe like 7 o'clock.
PM.
Yes, PM. And the shoot was meant to start for 2 o'clock or thereabouts. So anyways, it was a disappointment. And I just packed the files. I left it. Then I got a mail reminding me that, oh, I have to come and showcase what I have done, since I've accepted to do the project. So the morning of me going to showcase, I just changed my mind that, you know what, even if it's rubbish that I did, let me just show them. And how I just worked on it, retouched, I now did a slideshow for the thing itself. It was inside the car going from Ogba going to the island that I was doing
You
this
finished
slideshow.
up.
When I got to the roundabout at Ogba, police arrested the car I was in. They said,
Oh, was it public transport?
It was public transport.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't have a car then. It was
Yeah.
public transport. They arrested. I was like, oh, I have to go, this, I have to go. Eventually, they should have left us, or maybe I got another cab. I got to the island. They sat me in the office. I said, okay, in their boardroom. Okay, so what do you have to show us? The first few people came. I think I remember the names of the guys there. They're not more in GT Bank anyways. They sat down. I showed them the, what's it called? The slideshow and everything. I'm like, okay, they're coming back. So they went in and called the head of corporate comms, and she came in, and I was hearing, wow, wow, wow. In my mind, I was like, she really why me? What's all this? Like the phrase wasn't there,
popular.
but then in my mind, I was like, hey, these people are just making jest of me. Why are they saying wow? After they finished, they were like, okay, yeah. So how much did you spend on the production? Silly me, I didn't know. And I told them the real figure that, so this is, I paid this person this, I paid this person this, I paid this person this, I used this for rental, I did this. Okay.
Truly, you didn't know business.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, yeah, so send us an invoice, and yeah, we'll pick it up from there. And that was it.
Wow.
And that was just it. So if I'd ignored the email, I probably would have, I don't know, it would have just gone off. If I'd not taken a chance to say, you know what, although I didn't like the files at all, but let me just show it to them, it probably would never still work. So that was how I started working with them.
Wow.
But thereafter, I started learning that, oh, I have to charge for a license, I have to charge for this, I have to charge for that. So a few things I did first, I didn't charge for license at that point.
Now, you've done quite a bit of collaborations, and not just locally, but internationally. Can you share with us some of the unique experiences that you had in those collaborations, and why collaborations are very, very important for photographers?
Collaborations are very important, and the experience, especially collaborating outside of the shores of Nigeria, is that I learned that we still have a lot of work to do.
You mean technically or?
Everywhere. Technically, we as creatives, we're very good. Now, when I say technically, I'm talking about infrastructure and structure. We have a lot of work to do. I've worked on projects that I was even amazed. I need this, someone has gotten it. I need that, someone has gotten it. I need location, someone else is on location. Right here, you give work to a photographer will look for location, will look for styling, will look for this, will look for that. But right there, everybody's roles is just delineated. Everything is well ordered. And that's why experiencing that kind of collaboration just gave me, like, it opened my mind to a lot of things. Like, oh, wow.
So when you have these kind of experiences, let's bring it back home.
Yeah.
How do you think that level of organization and structure will come to us? What do we need to do?
I think the only way it can come is to start demanding that kind of structure. Not just demanding.
From who?
That's why I said not just demanding, is to start creating those kind of structures. And that's exactly why places like Zen Studios, Zen Backdrops come into play. For the most, okay, so before Zen Backdrops, I know there are a few of my guys that actually did backdrops too before, but before Zen Backdrops, if you wanted like a very good quality backdrop, you're importing. Yeah? And you couldn't rent. You couldn't rent good quality backdrops. So Zen Backdrops came, we started doing for sales. Then we recognized that, oh, some people who actually want to still not being able to afford to buy. Then we have rentals, which is making it affordable, available to creatives.
Yes, and the impact is that you're developing the industry.
Absolutely, because even sometimes when I see what other photographers, what they shoot with Zen Backdrops, I'm like, hey, my head, Jesus, how did they think of this? Like, if you leave me for 10 years, I probably will never think of the ways they are using it. And that's what we really need to grow. The same thing with Zen Studios. The slogan for Zen Studios is create your best work. Why are we encouraging people to create their best work? So that you can uplift the entire value chain and the industry. That's the whole idea.
I'm sure if I let you, we'll continue to talk about so many things to talk about actually. But my producer says we must take a break right now. We have one more segment on the show, and when we come back, it's a little tiny, beautiful thing that we're going to show you. Just a moment. Welcome back. I've been speaking with Emmanuel Oyeleke, who is the creative director at EOP Studios here in Lagos. Emmanuel, so before we went on the break, I mentioned that we wanted you to show us something, but before then, now we realize that a lot of creatives now, pinning down to photographers, now find it hard to properly and creatively and profitably monetize their work. How did you learn this?
Well, I think it's by having mentors also. I think it helps. Mentors that you can run to and say, oh, this person contacted me for this. How do I do this? Because it's not something we learn in school, especially because maybe a lot of us didn't do business. If we had like formal education, we would have probably courses that would say valuing your heart and everything that would teach us that, but save for that, we didn't have, or we still don't have a lot of institutions that can teach you that.
So you learned it through mentorship?
So I would say to a large extent, I learned through mentorship and asking questions from people that are right ahead of me. So I think the value of mentorship is very important. You avoid making mistakes that other people have made. So the people made mistakes so that you don't have to make it. And when you ask questions, you avoid those pitfalls too. So I would say that really helped me. Otherwise, taking courses in business is not too far-fetched. Exactly. So it's something that you can always do. But what I always say again is, a lot of us as creatives, we like to work as one-man army. What we can also do is, you are not good with business, hire someone that is good with business. Hire a business developer. But sometimes we will like, oh, I have to pay a business developer and I'm not making enough money yet. So if you can afford to do that, then by all means. Or if you
can find a way around it.
Exactly, by all means, do that.
All right, great. We already mentioned that you hardly would see an Emmanuel Oyeleke work and not recognize it because of one element, and that's art. So I would like you to show us what do you consider some of your own favorite works? And you see what I'm trying to say here. There's always an art element in some of his works. Let's see. So let's begin with this first one. Look at this, for instance. For a moment, I thought it was an idol. Is this live person?
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, this was as a result of collaboration. I mentioned that my friend Shafiq came in from Ghana. And I think it's a culture that we started. I think we started with Tosin Junaid. No, we actually started with maybe Tosin Junaid, then 2 years. He's been in Nigeria and we did the same. So whenever he's around, we just put together a shoot and shoot together. We call it a creative shoot-off or shoot-out. I did it with Tosin Junaid. I did it with Lexash and a few other people. And this is just as a result of collaboration.
Yeah, so what's the philosophy of this work, for instance?
Well, the philosophy of the work, I honestly wouldn't say there's a philosophy behind it. There's no deep thought behind it.
Yeah.
But what I would say is we were shooting different styles. So the aim of the shoot is to have the same model, the same styling, and then shoot it the way and still create something different.
Oh, okay.
Shoot from two different perspectives. And this is very sacrosanct of, I don't know if you've seen Peaky Blinders, the kind of lighting that you find in, you see teal, you see orange, both of them is typical, very film type of lighting.
I see.
And not just film, there's something really punchy and catchy about it because there's a backlight.
And abstract at the same time.
Abstract at the same time. And the model, gorgeous model. And she's just really, really nice and blessed. She has bowed, she's bowed actually, so her head is fully shone.
Okay.
So we have the styling and we just put the light on her, that's the blue light, and then I have another light coming from the back, which is the orange light. And to really, 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 really make the effect of the light at the back so pronounced, we just had the makeup artists for some glitter.
Okay.
I'm just blew the glitter.
Great.
In between.
Nice
that
one.
was how that came to be.
Oh God, this is monochrome color.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this particular picture is also as a result of collaboration.
Good.
Everything is collaboration, really. This picture is maybe 2015 or 2014, I'm not sure. And
7-8 years ago.
Yes. And the funny thing is, this is actually not my favorite image from the series.
From the project.
From the project, it's actually not. So it was me, Melissa De Vidal, and what's it called? And Moses Ebite was the stylist. Melissa is this very gorgeous model too.
Yeah.
We did so much work together back in the days. Yeah. And this was an offshoot of another shoot. So we were shooting for a brand, Mademoiselle Aglaia, at that time. And I really loved the fascinators and the way it just stood out for me. The model knew how to pose, she knew her angles, and everything just came together so well. And my lighting wasn't, what's it called? I was using very low light. I think I was even using modeling lamp of the light I was using at that point. I wasn't using the flash. So I just wanted to experiment. And in post, I just saw that the black against the red gave really nice contrast, and that was how it stuck. Good. Yes.
All right.
For this particular image, it was also a collaboration. So we.
All right, that's a lesson. Collaboration.
Yeah. So that's the model Gina Akala from Ghana, and every time she comes into Nigeria, we always shoot too. So she came in. And I reached out to the stylist. The stylist is Tosi Ogudadegbe, the styling Fidel. And we just like, oh, we're going to shoot on a very large expanse of land. I saw the land there, and I was like, oh, I'm coming back to shoot here. I just wanted something that would express freedom and endlessness and solitude. So I was like, oh, let's branch at Yaba. Let's get fabrics. We've got like 40 yards of yellow fabric. So the yellow against the blue skies just offered really nice contrast.
Good.
And then we just wound the fabric around the model and just walk, just be going.
Good.
And I was just taking the pictures.
Nice one, really. Let's take this.
And this picture also was this was a production for We Fabrics, one of my clients. We have them on retainer now. She's amazing. Funny enough, I shot her yesterday. I shot her yesterday.
We should have been here.
Yeah, and this was, so she does fabrics. Okay. This was one of, I just love when clients give you the freedom to express yourself. Imagine me shooting fabric for someone and I'm using dark light. So this is a result of the clients giving me freedom to do what I want to do. And it's just same sacrosanct of the same film light.
Good.
You see the teal, you see the red, you see the blues, you see the orange and the amber all working together. And
so you can all see now everything you do, basically everything you do could be sold as an artwork.
Absolutely. That's the aim. For it to outlive you and actually still have value when you're not here.
Yeah,
that's
I'm enjoying this, but absolutely. I guess we have to go. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Emmanuel Oyeleke, for allowing us into your beautiful amazing studios. So much more that we could have talked about.
A lot more that we didn't talk about.
Yes. But,
archery.
Yes.
Scrabble. A lot. Cycling.
I hope you are following him, all right, so that you can get update on some of those things. He's a man of many parts. Thank you, Emmanuel Oyeleke, for being who you are and expressing all that that life, encourages you to put out there. We love you. I know your fans and your followers and clients love you more.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I've enjoyed so much from this experience, but I would like to hear from you. What's your biggest take from this particular episode of the program? Let's meet in the comment section and let's find out what new thing that you have learned today. Again, I'm Kayode Alayande saying thank you very much for watching. This is brought to you proudly by CameraJOINT, Nigeria's #1 camera store. Bye now.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Oyeleke, photographer, artist, and Canon ambassador from Lagos, Nigeria. With this camera, it's just a matter of just pointing the camera and squeezing the shutter. And I'm so positive that I will get the action I'm looking for. It has happened so many times while testing this out.
All right, good. Just shoot you here and then. I have already gotten a couple of really nice shots of them, really.